Hey everybody, good morning. It's about 8:23 in the morning on January 18th, 2022. I'm here to do a morning chart analysis on Bitcoin, the S&P, Nasdaq, maybe a few different cryptos, a few different stocks. Before I get into any of this, of course, you all know this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So again, what I'm going to do this morning here, I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin, the S&P, Nasdaq. Probably we'll take a look at Cardano because it's getting some attention. We'll also probably be taking a little bit of a look at Ripple. We have been talking about that in the Discord, and you're going to see some changes on my charts as well. Let me go ahead and flip on over here to the Bitcoin chart. We've made some updates to the indicator, and so you're going to be seeing some slight changes to the indicator. If you need access to the indicator, if you need access to our Discord, you can get all of that information that you need at BitDoctor.org. So looking here at our good friend Bitcoin, we basically can reasonably assume that we have hit at least a local bottom here. A local bottom down here, right on the other side of 40,000. We would expect there to be a certain amount of support down there as well. One thing that I can say is, on the indicator, the white wave, which is our weekly, is down in oversold. Now, that certainly does not mean that it can't go down, which it absolutely can. But my bias currently is that we are going to start bouncing here pretty soon. I had $40,000 as a potential for a low, and I'm going to explain exactly why I believe that that is going to be the low, at least for the short term. Of course, if it breaks beyond that 40,000 level and closes below that, even on an hourly basis, I will be forced to kind of go back to the drawing board and rethink what my bias currently is. So we talk about pivots all the time whenever we are doing any kind of analysis. And we know we've got a really nice dominant pivot high up here, a good dominant pivot low right here. And when I say dominant, I mean there was a good trending upward, big sharp move down, big sharp move down, and then a big sharp move up. So these are dominant pivots. These are very important. And then of course we have a lower high here and then a slow bleed as we move down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinpoint the top, pinpoint the bottom, and then I'm going to get our retrace, okay? This is where I'm getting my corrective target. I'm just going to kind of move this over to the right so we can see where this is in relation to the price action. So my pivots remain the same. I'm just moving it over to the right. So, my target right down here, and again, I said I was looking at right around 40,000. So my 100% is right here at about $41,046. That's where I would expect there to be some support, and that is basically just due to equality. Right? We've got equality on the corrective move. So again, looking at this really quickly here. So we've got a nice A, B, C. So that's 3 waves down. And then from down here, same thing. A, B, C, 3 waves up. And then what we have been eyeing is the completion, which is 5 waves down. All right, so we've got a nice 1, 2, I believe that we've got the 3 here. We've got the 4, which doesn't violate the 1, and then we're going down for 5. I would expect we're going to hit that 5th wave more than likely somewhere between, 10 o'clock, noon Eastern time. I would expect that to be the case. Looking at the indicator, of course, the hourly, which is the green wave here, the hourly wave still shows that it's got a few more hours of downward movement. If it continues moving in this direction, we're looking at about noon before it gets into the oversold territory, which I would be looking for a nice bounce there. All right. And so, hypothetically speaking, if this is a 1 and a 2, which I'm not currently 100% set on this being a 1-2, but what I can say is if this does find a pivot, we're going to see a move to new highs. And when I say new highs, I mean more than likely we're going to take out this level right there. That's going to be the level to take out. Once we take that out, you're going to see a lot of bulls coming in, and that's where corrective markets can trap bulls. So again, dominant pivot low, dominant pivot high, And let's just say in a perfect world, we come right down to $41,046. Well, again, our next corrective target to the upside is going to be right here at about 46,000. All right. Why is that level important? Well, again, I'm going to look left, as I tend to do very frequently. And if you look left, you can see at this particular level, let me just go ahead and highlight this for you. Support, 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 break. All right. So naturally, what's going to end up happening is we're going to do a retest of that at some point, and I do believe we are on our way to doing so, and I would expect there to be some resistance there. Now, would I long down here at 41,000? I'm comfortable with that, with a tight stop loss, especially if it breaks beyond 40,000, 40,550. Yeah, that's a little bit of a tight stop, but let's just look at this from a risk to reward standpoint. Let's say we get this trade right at the 100 and we want to take it to the next 100 target to the upside. That's a 12% trade. What is our risk on that? If you put the risk down here at this level, which again, if it breaks this level, you can reasonably assume it's going to keep going. You've got a 1.3% stop loss for a potential 12% gain. That's just on spot prices. I would take a 1.3% stop loss any day. My stop losses in general equities markets is usually around 3.5% to 4%. So this is not a bad trade setup. Would I take leverage on this? I would not go higher than 2 or 3x leverage on this, because that gets to my 3.5% to 4% stop loss. But then in this particular case, if it does go to the 100% target on 2x leverage, well, that's going to be a 24.5% trade. You want a 36% trade, you can do 3x. But again, I wouldn't really go much higher than that, because you have to look at your risk. You can't look at the reward, right? The reward can come, but you have to understand the risk that you're putting on the table when you're getting into a trade. And in this particular case, the risk here is 1.34% on spot prices. Leverage is exponential. As you increase leverage, your stop loss, what you're willing to put on the table, increases with every amount of leverage that you add. So this is what I'm looking at on our good friend Bitcoin. I do want to shift over to the S&P. I want to shift over to Nasdaq and take a look at those markets as well, because they also have been moving down. Honestly, they've been moving down quite a bit. They're creating new lows right now. And with these markets, a couple things that I do want to point out. And, we were taking a look at this last week, right? Let me just kind of zoom out here. And we were looking at this as a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an A. Okay. And then we've got the B right up here, right? So again, we've got a 5, 3, little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, that goes into the B, okay? And then from there, of course, now we're looking at that corrective move down. And I believe it is going to be close to completing. And on a move to new lows, I would expect this to basically be done. There's a lot of people, and again, this is the C down here. We were looking at a move down here to 45.19, and that is potentially still in the cards. That could still happen. I will take a look at Matic, Luna, and AVAX. Yes, I'll take a look at that here at the end of the video. So from this high, right, we had toyed around with the idea with this being a truncation up here, so this actually being the fifth wave. I'm still kind of leaning towards a truncated fifth, so that the B actually ends up over there. One way or another, the price points are very, very similar. If we're looking at this from this corrective standpoint, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before. Dominant pivot high, dominant pivot low, right here. And then let's get this pullback target. I'm going to get the high point right there. And again, I'm just going to kind of move it over to the right. And you can see here, our negative 236 extension is currently at 45.19. Our 100% extension move to the downside is currently at about 45.10. Approximately 45.10. It's really at about 45.0750. But this also looks like the potential for that finishing move. And again, if this is an A, B, well, what we should be seeing is a nice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should still be seeing that last move down. I believe that we're working on a last move down. It may not get this low. A couple things that I don't like. Okay, there's a couple things that I don't like about this chart. And I'm on a 30-minute. Let me get back to the hourly here for a moment because I want to illustrate what I see here. All right, so the hourly looks okay. The 12-hour doesn't look great. The 3-hour doesn't look great. I even have the 4-hour on here. The blue wave is the 4-hour. And looking at this, it doesn't look all that great either. It does look like there is downward pressure, even though we're probably going to get a little bit of a bounce and some consolidation potentially. I think it's eventually going to make that move down. I think we're going to get that last wave down. And again, another way to look at this corrective target is from this dominant pivot high, dominant pivot low here, and then get this retest. And what's our 100% move to the downside? And this would be our case, right? This would be our case for not getting down here to the low 4500s, but stopping here at about 45.50. All right, so 45.4375 on the ES S&P 500 futures is going to be at about 45.50 on SPX, okay? And I'm not going to do the math right now for you on figuring out what that is in relation to SPY, but instead I'll just go to the SPY chart and get that for you here. Okay, so, and, futures is really going to throw this off quite a bit, actually. So let's take our high here and our low here and get to our dominant pivot up here, which this would be the equivalent of our 4,500, which is actually going to be right at about 450. All right, so 450, so potentially we stop at about 454, 455. That is potentially where we go. And actually that would be very nice for a gap fill on this guy right here, which we tried to fill back here. It did not happen. So if we can get a gap fill right here exactly at 455, that would be ideal. That would be ideal for picking up, some maybe some SPXL leveraged equity token versus getting some options. Personally, I'm going to be looking at getting some spreads. Maybe not today. Keep in mind, fellows, that this is a short week. This is a short week, and so that's important to remember that we only have 4 days this week. So you're going to have theta, which is going to be working at a more rapid rate compared to other 5-day weeks. So just remember that. Let's take a look at Nasdaq here. We haven't looked at Nasdaq yet. And again, this was very, very similar to what we were looking at previously on the S&P 500. Very similar chart formation. And so with this, again, very, very similar. We've got the hourly, which looks okay. You've got the 4-hour, the 3-hour, 12-hour, which is curving down. Even the weekly is out of the bullish control zone. Weekly has been out of the bullish control zone since, actually right up here at these highs. Not at all-time highs, but at these highs up here, the weekly lost the bullish control zone. So it's now down here in the neutral zone, along with everything else except for the hourly, which is currently oversold. So I would expect there to be a little bit of support down here. It would not surprise me for us to see a little bit of a move up here, but there's always the open interest, which we have been discussing for a while. So I'm going to take a look at SPY's open interest because I think that it is where the most volume is. So let's just take a look at this for a moment because I do believe this is important. All right, so 59% of 2.9 million contracts were bearish on Friday. There's currently 1.3 million contracts open interest, of which 57% are bearish. But again, oh, sorry, that was actually for the 14th. I apologize. So 59% of these 1 million contracts were bearish, and of the 389,000 contracts for today's expiration, which is Tuesday, 63% were bearish. I think this is insignificant. I think that this Wednesday, tomorrow's expiration, is also insignificant. What is the most significant is the one for Friday. We had 64% of these million contracts that opened up bearish for this coming Friday's expiration. Only 35% were bullish. So we've got almost 5.2 million contracts, which are currently open for Friday's expiration. 68% are bearish. Now, if you recall, last week, there were about 69% which were bearish. So there is a little bit of a shift on the open interest for the expiration that is the 21st of January. That still leads me to believe that there is a good chance that we see a strong move up. But again, I think that more bears have to get trapped, and then we see that sharper move up, which is why I've been looking at, talking about, and pointing out the fact that we could see another move down. Again, on Nasdaq, 14,815.50 is one target. Another target, again, using the dominant pivots. Next target right there is going to be right around 15,000, right? So we're looking at 14,975, which would really equate to about 15,000 on NDX. So 15,000 on NDX more than likely will not get breached this week. We're currently sitting at 15,366 on the NQ futures, which means that we've got NDX, which is going to be slightly higher. It's looking okay. There's a lot of eyes that are currently on bonds right now. The U.S. Treasury 2-year is just above 1% for the first time since February of 2020. The Fed may continue to hike points in March. We could potentially see that. Money markets currently are not reflecting that current sentiment. European economic sentiment, speaking of sentiment, European economic sentiment is today, and that will likely provide some volatility. Expectations right now are for positive sentiment, so I would pay attention to that. We also have crude oil, which is currently up. We have been discussing this in the Discord as well. Back here on the 10th of January, we were talking about there being a move up in crude, and it is currently up quite a bit since then, relatively speaking. And there was a drone attack in Abu Dhabi, which is currently getting some media attention, which is more than likely what is fueling some some of the more recent rise in prices. So keep an eye on that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Matic, Luna, and AVAX. All right, so Matic Network, it's currently pulling back. Let me get my moving averages on here so that we can take a look at this. Currently below all major moving averages, and I need to see that 200 exponential. I'm not sure why that is orange. I don't typically use orange. There we go. Let's do that and get everything back the way that it's supposed to. I use very specific colors in mine, so I'm not sure why that 200 was orange. So get it back to the way that it's supposed to be. All right, so Matic is currently trading below all major moving averages. I'm gonna say that more than likely there's going to be a bounce here in the near future. The 12-hour is currently heading down pretty hard. The weekly is nothing significant on the weekly. The weekly is going to take a lot of time to work itself out. The 12-hour does look like it's got some more ways to go, but I would say that the 4-hour and the 3-hour look okay. From a retracement standpoint, dominant pivot low, dominant pivot high up here. So let me get my template here. That's got the 618 currently right there at about 209. So I would expect there to be significant support there at 209. Looking left, you can see we've got a little bit of supporting move here, more support here. So I would expect there to be a decent amount of support here at 209, at least for a little bit of a bounce. And then we'll see what happens if and when it does a retest of these moving averages. We're currently suppressed. Let me go to some higher time frames. I'm going to go to the 4-hour and take a look at this just to see what I can find here. We've got, we tried to find some support here at the 55. Didn't really happen. We fell through. And so I would expect if we were to come back up here, this is going to be a hard level to get through, and that's going to be at about 230. 230, there's a pivot up here, which is really important to pay attention to. So let me just mark this, 230 on Matic. That level is going to be hard to push through. Next level that's going to be hard to push through is right here, which is 220. So, not to state the obvious, every 10 cents there's going to be some kind of support and resistance, because especially we were just talking here at the 618, which is at 209. I actually believe that this level right here is more important, which is actually at 210. The only reason why I'm pointing all of these levels out is because we've got support here. Look at all of these candle opens and closes at this level, and it continues over here and then wicks through and finding that support and that resistance all the way through, and we found the same thing right here. So 210 is important. I would expect that if it were to push through 210, it's probably going to wick down here to 209 and then find some support there. The importance behind the level at 220, again, we've got a nice support right here. We also had a candle closure right there where it found resistance and then it fell through. Going back to the left, we had a little bit of a wick here, finding some resistance, a wick resistance, wick support right there. Candle opens, candle closes right here at that particular level. And again, I already discussed that 230 level, a nice wick here, nice candle closures here. We've got support, support, support. So going back up here to this moving average cluster on the 4 hour leads me to believe that that's going to be some significant resistance as we do a bearish retest of that. So be careful with Matic, just because there's some resistance overhead, even though there is going to be 2 cents below, there is going to be some support down below. Luna. Let's take a look at this guy. All right, so we've got the 55 and the 100, which are very tight with each other. You've got the 21 exponential, which is converging on the 55 and the 100. We currently don't have these moving averages on the 4 hour, the 21, the 55, and the 100 crossing below the 200. So this is good, but we did lose the 200 exponential. So we found some support back here on January 14th at the 200 exponential, nice bounce up from that. And then we came down, we didn't find any support there. As you can see here, we just kind of fell right through it. And then we did a bearish retest the very next candle, and then it failed, and now we're currently moving down. So where is support likely going to be? Dominant pivot low, dominant pivot high. We still have a little ways to go. I would say that next level support is probably going to be down here at about $71. Let me go to the daily here for just a moment on Luna and see if there's any further evidence that that level is important. So we've got the 55 on the daily, which is right here, $73. If it comes down here to 71, guys, it better be a wick. It had better be a wick down, and then a quick pullback. But the daily doesn't look all that great here on Luna. The daily wave is trying to cross right now. Now, it certainly can bounce off of it and move and continue to move up. That is certainly possible, and I'm sure that's what a lot of people are going to want to see. But, you've got that 55 right there at about 73. You've got the 618 down here at about 71 and a quarter. Those levels need to be supportive. If they're not supportive, then that is not a really, really great sign. If that's the case, right, if it does break through that, and right now it looks like it wants to, it's more than likely going to come all the way down here to about 53. 53 is where this could potentially head. And if you look at it from a higher time frame perspective and zoom out, a move to $53 is not terrible. This thing in 2021, January of 2021, this was trading at 65 cents, and it's currently at $75. Okay, so try and look at these charts that these assets that have gone up, thousands of percents. Don't expect to get another 1,000% out of these things. You need to get quick base hits out of these, and take your profit, right? Again, a move back down to 53 is more than likely going to be what happens here in the coming days. So just be prepared for that if it does come. And that's where I would look for there to be some support. Do I think that Luna is going to go to $529? No, I don't think it will. Just based on this formation here, we've got a big, huge move up and then a pullback, and we already have a decent move to the upside. So don't expect to become a millionaire as something that's already gone up 1,000%. So just be very cautious with that. AVAX. Let's take a look at this again. This guy right here. I'll tell you what this reminds me of. This reminds me of ACH. What we see right here reminds me a lot of ACH. Had a big move up, just a slow decline. You know, got a little bit of a pop, pullback, pop, pullback, pop, pullback, and this is kind of what ACH is doing right now. It is down. ACH is down at about 5 cents right now, but this is. It looks very similar, and then there's a big move up, very similar to what I was saying for Luna, right? So we have some support here at the 100 exponential, a nice bounce off of it. Then we lost it. We tried to reclaim it. We reclaimed it for a few days, lost it again. That's currently where we are right now. The candle yesterday closed below the 100 exponential. So what's the next level below? You've got the 200 exponential at 72.55. That next level below at about 63.62. And again, I'm going to use the same tool here, dominant pivot high, dominant pivot low, which is right here. And then let's get our pullback. And where does that take us? Basically right where that 200 simple moving average is. And give it a few days, it's going to hit right where that 100 is. It's going to be right there. Don't know if that means that we're going to go down there in the next 3 or 4 days. But this looks to me like the trajectory it's moving, it's going to hit that level on about Friday or Saturday. So I would say that AVAX is probably going to be trending downward until Friday or Saturday. Bitcoin dominance, as much as everybody hates it, Bitcoin is still the king. Bitcoin dominance is currently increasing. It's trying to close above the 21 exponential here on the daily. It's not quite there yet. But if Bitcoin is going to hit that target of 41,000 that we were talking about earlier, and it's going to take over and start making a serious move to the upside, alts are going to bleed. You're going to gain more being in Bitcoin than you are going to be in most other alts. Now, that's not all, that's most, right? As we know, Cardano has done exceedingly well. Even though it's down 6.6% on the day, over the last couple days, it's gone up, tens of percents to the upside. So just continuing to watch Bitcoin dominance, because as it moves up, and especially if it closes the daily above the 55 exponential, which is currently at about 40.7% dominance. If Bitcoin dominance can close the daily above that, that is extremely bullish for Bitcoin. That is somewhat bearish for alts. Certainly, you're going to increase your USD value in alts so long as their Bitcoin trading pair doesn't absolutely plummet. But again, you're likely going to gain more being in Bitcoin than you are going to be in some or most other alts. So that's not going to be the case for all of them. There's going to be some outliers out there where the Bitcoin trading pair could potentially be moving up. Litecoin versus Bitcoin hasn't been doing too bad until today. So you can see Litecoin versus Bitcoin from the bottom to the top right here actually increased 18% all the way since January 12th. What does that mean for the Litecoin USD trading pair? Okay, again, we're looking since let me just make sure I've got the date here. Since the 11th, Litecoin versus Bitcoin has gone up 18%. So since the 11th, Litecoin, right here, the 11th, Litecoin versus the US dollar has gone up almost 20%. And of course, we can see here there is some profit taking happening right now. You've got the, let me go to the hourly here for a moment. Well, actually, real quick first, we didn't quite get to the 55 exponential in the daily. Let's take a look at the 4-hour, see if we're finding resistance. So we got up here to the 200 exponential, and again, I was talking about this for some of the other assets. Up here we did that bearish retest, right? And it was a significant move to the upside. That was a good move to the upside. But we hit this level, which is a magnet, right? Naturally, at some point, price action is going to get to these moving averages because the moving averages are fluid. They move with the price action. So if the price is going down, moving averages are going to be moving down. And at some point, your asset is going to retest those. And usually on the first or second test of that, it's going to get a rejection. And that's really exactly what happened here. But now we're pulling back, looking at the indicator, which works best on the hourly. We're finding some support here at the 200 simple moving average. You've got the hourly You've got the weekly. The only thing that's not down here and oversold is the 3-hour, the 4-hour, and of course the 12-hour. So we could be seeing a little bit of pain on Litecoin here in the near future as well. Just kind of closing things out, going back to Bitcoin, looking at this, just going to continue to watch this price action, continue to watch Bitcoin as it goes down to about 41,000 to 41,100 in that range. I would expect there to be a significant bounce in that particular level. It may take a couple hours down there for it to actually happen, but I would expect there's going to be a bounce in that area. Do I like Mana or Algo? Let me look. I'm just going to be really quick on this. Do I like Mana down here? It's okay. The only thing I don't like is the 12-hour is pretty much heading down. Mana has surprised me in numerous places and numerous times. This was a great example right here. Back on January 6th, there was a big, significant move to the upside. We had a 10% candle followed by a 6% candle. Those moves can happen out of nowhere, right? And they can be irrational. But you've got the 3-hour, the 4-hour, and the 1-hour is getting down there. It could be getting some bullish divergence on the hourly. So certainly this guy could continue and just move straight up. What I would say, just looking left, this level right here probably needs to hold. And that's going to be at about 275. 275 would need to hold on Mana. If that breaks, well, then you're looking, it wouldn't be looking all that great if it broke down below 275. So I'm not sure that I would take a trade right here, but kind of layering in as it moves down with a stop loss right there on 275 likely would work good. Algo, taking a look at Algo here. Again, it's currently closing below this important level. The next level, I'm just kind of saying the obvious right here, right there at about $1.25, $1.26. That particular level on Algo is going to be pretty important. Going to the 4-hour here, as you can see again, that level is continuing to show its importance as I look left. Okay, we've had some resistance here, support back here, resistance here. It probably continues over to the left. Support here where we first broke 126. So that level is really, really important. If that level breaks, then you're going to be taking a look at a move back to this level right here, which is going to be at about $1.07. For something that's only $1.30, a move to $1.07 is a pretty significant difference. We're talking about like 28%. Do you want to lose 28%? What I can say is that the weekly does look really good. The weekly does look like it is down in oversold, potentially creating some hidden bullish divergence, and it currently is. So assuming we can find some support up here, which I suppose more than likely we will, because again, I've got that bias that Bitcoin's going to find a floor about 41,000. And assuming that floor doesn't fall out from under us, it's on good structure, I would say that this level and potentially this level down here, which is again a pretty deep pullback, which is why you're going to want to put a reasonable stop loss on the other side of $1.25, and then try and catch it again at about $1.08, $1.10, something like that. I would expect there to be a significant amount of support. The weekly has almost completely reset, which is a good sign. That is a good sign. So do I like it right here? Honestly, not really. A lot of the alts, the 12-hour is curled down. Now again, that can change at a moment's notice, and it likely will. But do I like it right here? Not really. Not really. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. It's now almost 9 o'clock in the morning. I've got to get ready for the day. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. And if you need access to our educational materials, our trade ideas, if you need access to our indicator, our spreads, futures trading, you can find all that information on BitDoctor.org, and of course, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Take care, everyone.